Hi, this is Matt with AppliancePartsPros.com. Today we'll be showing you how to repair your appliance. Remember, anytime you work on an appliance, make sure it's unplugged or the circuit breakers are off so there's no chance of electrocution. In this video we're going to show you how to change out the GE Refrigerator Ice Dispenser Motor. It's going to be a very easy repair and it's only take a few minutes to show you how to do it. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can click on the link below or get it at AppliancePartsPros.com. When you open up the package, you're going to get the new Ice Dispenser Motor. The Ice Dispenser Motor is located in the back of the freezer. The main reason you'd be changing it out is if it's failed and it's not driving the auger when you're trying to dispense the ice. In order to get to the part, we have to open up the freezer door. Now that we have the door open, we can take the ice bucket out. All you have to do is lift up on it and then pull it out, and you can set it aside. Now that we have the ice bucket out, we can take the light lenses out. We're going to use our Phillips screwdriver to remove the screw on the lower one. Once you have the screw out, you can slide the lens over to the left a little bit, then pull it down and out of the freezer. Then we can take the upper light lens off. It's held in by one Phillips screw too. Once you have the screw out, we can lift the light lens up so it comes out from behind this tab right here, and then lower it down so that these tabs on the top come out. And then we can lower it down and pull it out of the freezer. Once you have the light lens out of the way, we can reach in and lift the capillary tube out of this hole right here. Once you have it out, you can just carefully set it aside. On the bottom side of the assembly, we have to take out these two 1/4 inch screws with the 1/4 inch nut driver so we can unplug the wiring harness. Once you have both screws out, you can reach in and pull the wiring harness off. Now we can take out the screws on each shelf that hold it to the wall. When we're taking it out, you have to be careful because the shelves are attached to this assembly with rivets, and you're going to have to take out all those one piece, and you have to be careful that they don't break as you're working on it. We're going to use a Phillips screwdriver to take the screws out. Now we can reach in with the Phillips screwdriver and take out the two screws that hold this assembly in. Once you have both screws out, we can lift the assembly up a little bit and pull it out. Now that we have the assembly out of the freezer, we can set it on a towel so we can work on it. We're going to take off the wires first. We have the black on the bottom and the orange one on the top. If you have to, you can use a small flathead screwdriver to help pop them off. Once you have both wires off, we're going to carefully turn it over so we don't damage the shelves. And then we have to take the drive yoke off. Then we're going to take a set of locking pliers to hold on to the shaft while we turn the yoke. And we can take our flathead screwdriver and just use it to turn the yoke assembly and unscrew it. Once you have it broke free, you should be able to turn it by hand, just counterclockwise, just like any other nut. Once you have it off, you can set the yoke aside. Then we can release the locking pliers. Then we can use our 1/4 inch nut driver to take out these 3 screws that hold the ice dispenser motor onto the assembly. Once you have all 3 screws out, you can separate the 2 parts and pull the ice dispenser motor out. Here's the old ice dispenser motor next to the new one. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can get it at AppliancePartsPros.com. Looks like they've redesigned the gearbox and they put the hole for the screw on the opposite side on the new one. So what we're going to have to do is put this in and mount it by these two screws. Then we can mark the location of this one and drill a hole for the screw. So we're just going to put this in place and use the 1/4-inch nut driver to put the screws in. You may notice that it's a little bit hard to put the screws in because the manufacturer didn't cut any threads, and we're going to have to cut the threads as we drive the screws in. Now that we have the motor mounted, we can turn this assembly over so we can mark it on the back. To mark the metal, we're just going to use a small punch and just kind of etch the circle into the aluminum. Then we're going to take the motor back off and mark the center, punch it, and then we can drill it. Once you have the hole marked, we can set the assembly back down and use the 1/4-inch nut driver to take the screws out and pull the motor off. Once you have it off, you can pull it off and set it aside. To punch the metal and drill the hole, we're going to put a piece of wood down and then lay the assembly across it. You can do it at home however you want to protect the surface and make sure you don't break the shelves. We're just going to line up on the center of the hole that we marked and put a little punch mark so the drill doesn't wander around. Once you have that done, we can grab our drill. We're going to use a 1/8-inch drill bit to drill the hole. Once you have the hole drilled, we can put the assembly back up onto the table and mount the motor. Now we can grab the motor and the 1/4-inch nut driver and put all the screws in. If you want, you can leave the first screw a little loose so you can move the motor around and make sure everything else is lined up. And once we have all 3 screws in, we'll tighten everything down. Now that we have the new ice dispenser motor mounted, we can connect the wires. Remember, the black one was on the bottom and the orange one was on the top. Just want to make sure you press them all the way down so you get a good connection. Once you have them connected, we can carefully lift the assembly up so we can put the yoke back on. To put the yoke back on, you just want to make sure that the nut didn't slide over and it's lined up with the opening. And set it down into place and spin it down so it gets snug. This thing doesn't have to be super tight, but we're going to grab the locking pliers and just put a little bit of a tightness on it. Once you have it snug down, you can take the locking pliers off, and then we can carefully lift the assembly up and put it back in the freezer. To put the assembly back in the freezer, we're just going to carefully lift it up and set that on the 2 mounting brackets. I want to make sure the hole on the left is lined up. And then we can use our Phillips screwdriver to put the screws in. Now that we have the assembly mounted, we can use the Phillips screwdriver to put in the 2 screws that hold the shelves up. Now that we have the shelves attached, we can plug in the wiring harness on the back wall of the freezer. To plug the wiring harness back in, all you have to do is line it up with the plug and push it all the way in so you get a good connection. And then we can use the 1/4-inch nut driver to put the screws in that hold it in. Now we can go up top and reposition the temperature sensor. To put the sensor bulb in, all you have to do is grab it and carefully feed it back down through its opening. Once you have it in place, we can put the light cover on. To put that on, we're just going to carefully feed it up into its place, making sure it goes around the ice maker and everything. And we have to make sure that the upper two mounting pegs go into the ceiling. Then we can lift it up and set it on the lower mounting spot. Once you have it in place, we can use the Phillips screwdriver to put the screw in. To put the lower light lens in, we're just going to line it up and lift it into place. Once you have both sides in, you can slide it over to the right to lock it in. And then we can use the Phillips screwdriver to put the screw in. Now that we have the lower light lens in, we can put the ice bucket back in. To put the ice bucket in, all you have to do is line it up on the shelves and slide it back into place. Once you have it all the way in, we can close the freezer door, plug the refrigerator back in, and make sure it starts to cool. Thanks for joining us for another successful repair brought to you by AppliancePartsPros.com. Check out our other repair videos on our site, Facebook, and YouTube.